Yo, 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 what's going on? Welcome back to the Bring the Sink podcast. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Justin Hamroun, and today we got a good one. This is the NFL Playoffs Divisional Round picks and previews. Boy, say that 5 times fast. And man, oh man, do we have a good slate of games this week. I mean, it feels like it's always a good slate of games, but this is a particularly special slate of games because not only do we have 4 playoff games, and they all particularly seem like must-watch playoff games, but we also got my Denver Broncos playing in one of the games, so it makes it a little extra special. So let's get right into it. The first game, coincidentally, is the Broncos versus the Bills at Mile High in Denver. So this one, I'm not going to lie, folks, I am pretty nervous for as a Broncos fan. I will try to keep as unbiased as possible my opinions and try to formulate some unbiased thoughts and some unbiased takes, but here we go. Usually that's the case when it comes to my teams, though. I don't usually like to play like a loser, like, oh, you know, Josh Allen's gonna kill us, and I also don't like to be like super cocky about my teams either. At least publicly speaking, in my mind, I say a lot of crazy things, but publicly speaking, I don't like to brag and boast about the Denver Broncos. So let's take a look at this game. We got the Buffalo Bills coming into Denver. This is going to be the second time that Josh Allen has ever come into Denver in his career. The first time, I believe, was back in 2019 where he beat the snot out of the Broncos 48-19. But the Broncos barely had a team at that point. They didn't have a coach. They didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have anybody. And this is a playoff rematch from last year. Last year, the Bills unfortunately sent the Broncos home in the wild card by a score of, I believe it was 31-7, and it was actually relatively close all the way up until the end of the third quarter, and that's when the tsunami kind of broke open. But I have made some keys to the game for both teams on how they can come in and win this ball game. So let's get to it. Let's start off with the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, it seems like every single week there's one constant that you see throughout the entire schedule, and that is if there is a W next to the game that they played, it probably means that James Cook has, for all intents and purposes, cooked. And he has probably rushed for 170 yards and 2 touchdowns, and it was just a heavily James Cook-oriented game plan. And that's kind of been the formula for the Bills this year. They're kind of weak at wide receiver, and we're going to get into the injuries that they have here in a second, but they're kind of weak at the wide receiver position. Doesn't mean they have good talent at the wide receiver position. It just means they don't have any stars. So with that being said, I believe the keys to the game for the Bills, in order for the Bills to advance the AFC Championship and continue their Cinderella Super Bowl run as a 6th seed, even though it's not much of a Cinderella when you open up as a home underdog against, a road favorite, I should say, against the number 1 seed, which is diabolical in my opinion. Their keys to the game are as follows. So, number 1, I had already mentioned it, but you got to get James Cook involved early and often, and even if it doesn't work at the beginning, you just keep feeding him. Eventually, he is going to break one, and eventually, he is going to break many, and eventually, the defense is going to get tired, and there's going to be a lot more holes that open up. The games that we have seen the Bills lose this season, they have completely abandoned the run game, and they have completely ignored James Cook, who's also been kind of a Robin to Josh Allen's Batman. So with all their injuries going on at this current moment, if they don't get James Cook involved early and often, I believe that they will be in trouble. Now, their second key to the game is take the home crowd out of it. Now, Mile High is a very, very difficult place to play, and pretty much every single coach and every single player who has played in Mile High as an opposing team will tell you that. And how do you mitigate that? You immediately, right out of the gates, score, and you score as much as you possibly can, and once you've developed a multiple possession lead, at that point, as long as you don't lose the momentum, at that point, the crowd kind of gets taken out of it. So it is a very loud place to play, especially when the Broncos are in it and they have a chance. But once you start forcing that Denver home crowd to start booing their own team, at that point, it might spell trouble for the Denver Broncos. My last key to the game for the Bills is to blitz Bo Nix from all sides. And what I mean by that is, if you blitz him from all sides, you do not allow him to escape to a certain side, or you have less of a chance of him scrambling, because if you blitz him from all sides, he's going to be enveloped into your pass rush and he's going to be forced to stay in the pocket, and then he's going to be panicking. He's going to have his little happy feet, and it might force a turnover or at least a very inaccurate pass. So if you can make Bo Nix panic and make him shuffle his feet and, ruin his footwork, at that point, it might be a long day for Denver. Now, for Denver, the keys to the game is very simple, actually. It's almost kind of the opposite of all the keys that I mentioned for the Bills. Number one is not, though. Number one is its completely own thing. It's hold on to the football, man. I cannot stress this enough. You have to hold on to the football. The Broncos are second in the league in drops, and when you have a second-year quarterback who's trying to grow and make strides, that is absolutely unacceptable. You have to hold on to the football. If you do not hold on to the football, it stunts his growth and eliminates a lot of opportunities that aren't eliminated because of some sort of skill issue. It's eliminated because of lack of execution, and lack of execution is unacceptable. So this goes along with execution. You have to execute no matter what, but you have to, you can't, and this goes for everybody. There's not just one singular person on that Broncos team that hasn't had a whole lot of drops. Everybody's had their fair share of drops, whether it's Troy Franklin or Cortland Sutton as of recently, even the running backs catching the passes out of the backfield, Evan Ingram. Every single person needs to do their part and help the offense go down the field and help Bo Nix, so that way they can put some points on the board and beat this, although injured, very, very good Buffalo team. Now, the next key, this one is an opposite to the key that I gave the Bills, and this one is to eliminate James Cook. I already said it before, but in all the games that the Bills have lost, James Cook has had very minimal production, so as long as you can eliminate James Cook, I like the Broncos' chances in this all day long. The third key I have for the Broncos to win this game is you got to pound the rock. Sean Payton loves to get away from pounding the rock and get away from what works, but this Bills team has a very, very good pass defense, but they do not have a very good run defense. So what that means is if you run 30, 40 times a game with the likes of RJ Harvey and Tyler Bidet and Jaleel McLaughlin, all of these guys, I don't believe J.K. Dobbins will unfortunately be making his return from IR. I don't think they activated him in time. So as long as they can get decent production from those three guys, I truly like the Broncos' chances to win this game. Not only that, but it also puts the time of possession in your favor. And if you look at the stats all across the league, you seldomly ever lose games when the time of possession is in your favor. So I'll take that bet. I'll take that deal all day long. Just keep pounding the rock, keep pounding the football. And my second to last key to the game is convert in the red zone. We've had some games recently that we've seen the Broncos not convert in the red zone, and the offense has sputtered out. And this Bills team is not a team that you can get away with kicking field goals and not actually scoring touchdowns. You have to convert in the red zone, and I don't even care how you do it either. You can pass, you can run, it doesn't matter. You just have to score touchdowns. Now, if it gets to 4th and 1 and you've tried running it up the middle 3 straight times and it hasn't worked, then maybe you can take the points. Maybe you can kick the field goal, but it cannot be a constant thing. You have to score touchdowns in the red zone. My last key to the ball game for the Broncos to win this game and advance the AFC Championship is to keep a spy on Josh Allen and contain him at all times. It seems pretty obvious, but there's not a lot of teams that do this, and they just chase him all around the field, and then he runs for 46 yards back there from side to side, east to west, and then he finally finds an open guy down the field. If you keep him contained and you don't let him get comfortable, then Josh Allen is going to have himself a pretty bad day. And Josh Allen doesn't have a lot of bad days. But when he does have bad days, it's because teams such as the Texans, who have a very good defense and have kept spies on Josh Allen and have kept him contained or hit him so much to the point where he kind of gets a little Sam Darnold-y back there, he's seeing ghosts. If you can make Josh Allen see ghosts, you're going to have a good time on defense. So those are my keys to the game for this Bills versus Broncos matchup. Now, as for my prediction, this is actually kind of tough for me because I hate picking my own team's games. Like I said earlier, I don't want to appear like a loser and pick against my own team, but I also don't want to appear cocky and pick my own team. However, this Buffalo Bills team, if you take one look at their injury report, you can see that they have, gosh, it seems like 80 guys that are injured right now. It's something ridiculous, It's coupled that with the fact that the Broncos have opened up as home underdogs as the number 1 seed against the number 6 seed. Granted, now it's swung back into their favor. They are now the home favorite, but since they opened up as home underdogs, Bo Nix said it best. They're not underdogs, they're overdogs. Give me the Boverdogs, 28-20. Give me Denver advancing to the AFC Championship, going up against my pick between the Texans and the Patriots. All right, moving on to the next game. We have a great Saturday night game, a third rematch between the 49ers and the Seahawks. This is in Seattle. Now, this one was kind of weird. This is news that just came out today. We heard that Sam Darnold is questionable to play on Saturday, even though they've had the last 2 weeks to rest up. And I don't remember Sam Darnold getting injured in that game in Week 18 against the 49ers, so I truly don't know what to make of that story. Granted, we don't have a lot of details at this moment, but I don't know what he might have done in the bye week that got him injured and ultimately led to him being questionable, or at least listed questionable for this game. I don't know if it's like a mind game or what's going on, but that's a very interesting, very weird injury report listing to see. Now, for the 49ers, talk about another team who's been decimated by injuries. Honestly, if you've seen what they've been able to get away with this year with all those injuries, I think that's just the best case that you can give Kyle Shanahan the coach of the year, because he's done so much with so little, and it'll be interesting to see how he game plans for this Saturday night division rivalry. My keys to the game, we'll start out with the 49ers. This is another one. I don't want to repeat myself, but you have to convert opportunities in the red zone. Now, 2 weeks ago when we saw these teams play, the 49ers got to the red zone, but they did not convert. And at one point, Brock Purdy threw an interception. Not necessarily his fault. The receiver dropped it into the arms of another one. It was into the arms of a defensive back. It was an absolute gift for the defense, but you have to convert those opportunities. That is absolutely unacceptable. You have to score touchdowns. I know it's tough because this Seahawks defense is a top 3 defense in the league, top 2 even, but if you have opportunities, you got to take advantage of them at the end of the day. Now, the next key to the game is to convert on intermediate pass plays. Now, what I mean by this is you can't throw short passes against this Seahawks team, because this Seahawks team tackles very, very well in open field. So if you try those cute little zig routes, or there's little like slants or a little flat route, they're going to get hit, and they're going to get hit hard. And you also can't throw it extraordinarily deep on this Seahawks team either, because their secondary flies around like some hawks, no pun intended. So the way you combat this is you throw these intermediate routes, the 10-yarders, the 10 to 15 to 20-yard routes. That's going to be your bread and butter against this Seahawks team. That is why we see the Rams have the most amount of luck against this Seahawks team. I know they lost against them back on that Thursday night a few weeks ago, but they were able to put up 37 or 38 points against that Seahawks team in Seattle. So And the way they do it is through those intermediate routes with Puka and Devontae. Now, it helps a lot to have Puka and Devontae, and we're going to get to that game here in a second, but you have a very talented quarterback in Brock Purdy, and you have a very talented running back in CMC. Hopefully, the usage of those two can open up those intermediate routes and allow you to score some points. My last key to the game, in all honesty, I don't really have a lot of faith in this 49ers team. So when I don't have faith, this is my go-to key to a game for pretty much any team, and that is you have to force at least 2 turnovers. Any team in the NFL can win a ball game as long as they capitalize on opportunities and force turnovers. There is a very limited amount of possessions that each team gets in an NFL game at any given time. So if you can take away those possessions, and if you can take away multiple of those possessions, oh boy, you have a great, phenomenal chance of winning that ball game no matter who you're playing against. It could be the 2007 Patriots or it could be the 2017 Browns. If you force two turnovers, I like your chances. Now, as for the Seahawks, I'm going to keep this pretty simple. My keys for the Seahawks are just play like you've been playing all year. It's very simple. This Seahawks team has been crushing teams all year long. Don't let it get to your head. Don't let the hype and the cameras flashing, don't let all of that get to you. At the end of the day, you're the number 1 seed, and you're the number 1 seed for a reason. You've played great all year. You've played complimentary football. Your defense is freaking awesome. Your offense has a lot of dangerous weapons. That young quarterback, or I guess, I don't know if he's young anymore, but that quarterback you got through free agency has paid dividends so far. He's won 14 games for you. If you just keep the ball rolling, you continue to do what you do, that's going to be easy street. And I think that is why I am going to pick the Seahawks over the 49ers to win round 3 of this matchup by a score of 29-10. I think this will probably be the worst game of the weekend. It probably will be closer than that, but you know, this Seahawks team has been on an absolute roll, and I don't see it stopping here. That 49ers defense has been pretty weak as of recently, and I'm not going to let one game against a very sputtery Eagles offense convince me that they've turned around their defensive woes. So give me the Seahawks by multiple possessions, 29-10. I think the Seahawks, with all the talent they have on that team, I think they're going to be pretty hard to stop. You know what? I'm going to change it. I'm going to pull an audible right now. Omaha! Give me the Seahawks 22-10. I don't know if they're going to score 29 points, but yeah, I'll give the 49ers some respect. I don't think they get totally blown out. Yeah, let me get 22-10. The Seahawks move on to the NFC Championship. Now, moving on to the Sunday afternoon game. I believe we have the Bears going up against the Rams in Chicago. This is Soldier Field. I don't know why I keep saying these teams backwards. It's the Rams going into Chicago to play against the Bears. Now, this is going to be a very, very fun game, and it might even be one of those all-time winter classic snowy blizzardy games, and I am all here for it. You know, there's a narrative that Matt Stafford struggles in the snow, and granted, he did get bounced from the second round of the playoffs last year during the snow, but I don't believe the snow was really at fault for that. I think they were about 10 yards away from beating the Eagles in Philadelphia. They came the closest out of every single team to beat that eventual Super Bowl champion, so I don't really fault him for that as much, but even ignoring that game, he still has a poor record in the snow, which is kind of crazy to me considering that he's played in Detroit throughout majority of his career, but that also could be a worthy explanation because those Detroit Lions teams were pretty bad when he was there. So take that stat with a grain of salt. This is going to be a great matchup, whether you like it or not. This is one of the hottest Cinderella stories in the entire NFL, with the Bears and Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams figuring it out and coming back from games that they should not have won all season long and just winning these games by the skin of their teeth in the clutchest of fashions. And then you got the Rams, who at the beginning of the year and throughout majority of the year were looking like the runaway Super Bowl champion of the 2025-2026 season, but now there is a growing list of concerns on both sides of the football for the Rams. So let's get to the keys of the game. So for the Rams, my first key to the game is to make some stops on defense. We've seen this Rams defense get absolutely torched over the last few weeks. They gave up 20 to the Arizona Cardinals. They gave up 31 to the Carolina Panthers. Like, these are not good teams. They've given up either 38 or 39 against the Seahawks on that Thursday night classic. That defense needs to show up in this game, and they need to show up for all 4 quarters. They can't just make tons and tons of stops quarters 1 through 3 and then have Caleb Williams coming out, putting on his little Iceman routine and scoring 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. No, that cannot happen if the Rams want to win this ball game. And 2, my second key to the game is the same key that I had for the Bills earlier, and that is take the air out of the stadium. Soldier Field is a very, very tough place to play, so if you put up points often and you put up points early and you continuously play with a lead all game long, whether it's a one possession, 2 possession, 3 possession lead, you don't allow them to get the momentum at all, you're going to have a good time. And then my third key to the game is to utilize Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. And this is specifically because it's going to be snowing pretty hard. I think we're in for a treat as viewers watching this all-time winter classic. Now, the weather people are always wrong at the end of the day, so it could be clear as day. We don't know that for sure, but the forecasts are expecting some heavy snow, so whenever it snows, you have to utilize running the football because obviously it's a lot harder to pass the football, and they love to pass it on those intermediate routes as well as those deep routes, and you can't really do that when it snows pretty heavily. So make some stops on defense, take the air out of the stadium, and then utilize Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. Those are my keys for the Rams. As for the Bears, my first key, very simple. Put up a lot of points. This Rams team has been particularly weak on defense as of recently, like I said before, but the Bears defense is not particularly all that great either. So you're going to have to kind of win a shootout, especially against this very high-powered offense that LA Rams and Matt Stafford and company are running right now. So put up a lot of points. I'm not talking like 24 points or 28 points. I'm talking at least 40 plus points. If you put up 40, I think this game is going to be first one to 40. If the Bears put up 40 plus points in this ball game, they have a 99.999% chance to win this game according to the Bring the Sink calculators. So put up a lot of points, score in every single quarter. Don't just wait till the 4th quarter. I feel you on that because I'm a Broncos fan. It's happened to me pretty much seems like almost every single week. But just put up a lot of points, score every single quarter, and you're going to be in a great position to win this game. Now, my last key for the Bears is to use the weather to their advantage. You got a team coming in from LA. You got a team that does not see snow. They don't even know that snow exists over there. If you got a quarterback who calls himself the Iceman, then you guys better perform exceptionally well in the snow. And there is absolutely no excuses. You come from Chicago, it snows there pretty much the entire wintertime. So utilize the weather to your advantage. The Chicago Bears have a very, very good run game manned by that 2-headed monster in Monungai and DeAndre Swift. So if they can get that going early and they can gash the Rams defense with those zone running concepts, I think it'll be a very long day for the Rams defense and just the Rams in general. As for my pick, this is going to be very, very, very tough. I'm still kind of 50-50 on it, and a lot of it has to do with my heart. I have absolutely loved watching this Bears team play football all season long, and I want to continue to watch the Bears play football. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I can continue to pick with my heart when picking with my heart means that I have to pick against Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams. Like, this is tough. And Sean McVay, this is really, really tough. This is like a battle between 2 heavyweight coaches with Ben Johnson doing his thing and Sean McVay, who we all know is this young genius. And this is going to be very, very interesting. And all I know is this is an absolute must-watch. Even if you don't like football, just turn on your TV to Fox. I believe it's going to be on Fox. Turn on your TV to Fox at I believe 1 p.m. Mountain Time, because this is going to be an absolute must-watch. And I'm going to stop stalling and actually give you my pick. I believe that the winner of this ball game is the Chicago Bears with a score of 38-35. Last week, Chicago, I picked against you, and I don't want to do it again. I'm hopping on this train. Give me the Iceman in the ice, taking down Sean McVay and Matt Stafford and sending them home, sending them to Cancun with an early exit for these Super Bowl contenders turning into Super Bowl pretenders. This makes this my official upset of the week. I actually haven't seen the odds. I don't know who's favored and who's not. I assume the Rams are probably favored over the Bears, but give me the Bears either way. I love what this team is doing, and honestly, I don't care if I get this one wrong because it's been one hell of a season for the Chicago Bears, and I truly can't remember a time in my life where the Chicago Bears were even this fun to watch. Even when they went to the Super Bowl back in 2006, that was a very defensive team led by Rex Grossman at quarterback, and that was just, no pun intended, gross. So give me the Bears with this very fun to watch offense. Although it's a little inefficient sometimes, they're so much fun to watch. They put up a lot of points, and they put up a lot of points in the fourth quarter too. So give me the Chicago Bears. And this is a promise for the Rams and the LA Rams fans. The Rams, I'm sorry to let you down like this, but I'll make it up to you. If you win this game against Chicago on Sunday, I promise you, spoiler alerts for next week's episode, I promise you that I will pick the Rams. No matter who's playing against you, I will pick you to win that ball game, whether it's against the 49ers or against the Seahawks. If you win this game against the Bears, I promise you I will pick the Rams to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I have not picked against the Rams a whole lot this entire season, and it kind of feels weird to do so, but I'm just riding with the hot hand, baby. So give me the Bears, and I gave you my word, LA. If you get it done against the Bears, then I tip my cap to you, and I will pick you as my NFC Super Bowl pick. Last but not least, we have some menaces going up against each other between the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots. And what I mean by menaces is we got the Texans defense, number 1 in the league, going up against that Patriots offense who's at least top 3 in the league. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but actually, just kidding, I do. They are 3rd in total offense. So I was correct. They're top 3 in total offense. See, I know some ball, man. I know some ball. Anyways, give me this game injected into my veins, man. I cannot wait for this game. Now, I will preface this by saying, usually when a defensive juggernaut goes up against an offensive juggernaut, it usually leans in the defensive team's favor. And don't ask me how I know this, because there was a certain Super Bowl that was played back in 2013 between the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense. And don't ask me how that game particularly turned out for a team that I may or may not have been rooting for at the time and still currently do to this day. Anyways, in terms of keys to the game, we'll start out with the Houston Texans. This one, it's pretty easy. It's just to continue to do what they've been doing on defense by getting pressure on Drake May with 4 guys. You can't rush any more than that. Drake May is very good under pressure. As long as you can get to him very, very quickly with 4 guys and you're dropping the other 7 into coverage, I believe you're going to make it a very, very long day for Drake May. Wow, that rhymed. That was pretty cool. Anyways, the next key to the game is Stroud has to play proud. Oh, look at me. I'm rhyming twice. What I mean by this is that Stroud has to play like he played in his rookie season when he was slinging that thing, man. And he was putting up points and he looked like he was the Texan savior. We have not seen that version of CJ Stroud consistently since his rookie season. So if Stroud plays proud, I think the Texans, actually no, I guarantee the Texans win this game if Stroud has a great ball game. That is a bring the sink guarantee. Now, my third key to this game is to play complementary football, and that kind of ties in with both of the things that I just said. Both of the keys that I just said is, you know, if your defense is making stops and forcing 3 and outs and forcing turnovers and getting sacks, and you're not scoring points, then you're going to keep the Patriots in the game by that way. But if they're getting stops and you're you're scoring points, or even vice versa, you're scoring points and they're getting stops, it could get very ugly very fast. So just get pressure on Drake May with 4 guys, get CJ Stroud to play proud, and play some complimentary football, and it should be a good time for Houston. As for the Patriots, the number one key, and this is probably the most important key out of this entire list of keys for every team this year or this week, is to protect Drake May. If Drake May can get a few seconds to throw the ball, or if they have to get pressure by sending more than 4 guys, then I believe Drake May will make them heavily pay for their mistakes. So just protect Drake May, maybe toss in a couple runs here and there between Stevenson and Henderson, and you, no pun intended, may find yourself in good spirits by the end of this game. Now, my second key to the game, this is kind of a unconventional take. This is design some runs for Drake May. He's mobile, but they try to keep him in the pocket a lot. We seen him last week against the Chargers when he tucked it and ran. You know, there was a lot more opportunities that was being created by him doing so. So if you can design some actual like QB runs or some RPOs for Drake May, I think it's going to keep that Texans defense on their toes, and they're not a team that usually plays on their toes on defense. So we've seen it back when the Broncos played the Texans in Houston a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago. The Broncos had struggled on offense all game long, as most teams tend to do against the Texans defense. But at the last drive of the game, Bo Nix tucked it and ran, I think on a 3rd and 17, and he was able to convert, and it pretty much won him that ball game. So I don't know if the Texans will be expecting Drake May to be tucking it and running it a whole lot, but if they can do so successfully, I think it greatly improves their chances to win this ball game. Now, last but not least, I think you have to continue the defensive brilliance from last week. Show that it wasn't just the incompetence of the Chargers O-line and the Chargers offense in general. They just had fired Greg Roman. I believe it was either yesterday or the day before. They fired Greg Roman, offensive coordinator. Show them that it wasn't just the incompetence. Show them that it was an actual great game plan from Mike Vrabel, that Patriots defense was truly the ones that were making their lives hell, and it wasn't the Chargers just getting into their own way. As for my pick for this game, I think this one is actually probably the easiest game to pick all weekend. I know I said this last week, so I may sound a little biased. I may sound a little anti-Patriots biased, but honestly, I don't really care. I do hate the Patriots. Hand up, I will admit that. But I'm picking against the Patriots this week, and not just because I hate them. I think the Texans are a very, 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 very tough defense. It's honestly a historical defense, and it's going to be the toughest defense by far that the Patriots have played all year. Now, we can toss this whole schedule talk out of the way, but this is going to be kind of a low-scoring affair, I believe. Give me the Texans beating the Patriots, not by much though. Give me the Texans winning 20-17 and advancing to the AFC Championship, where they will be playing my Denver Broncos, hopefully, God willing. As for my picks during this playoffs, I am currently 1-5, so hopefully I can go 4-0 in these picks, and it can bring me back to 500 on the year with 5-5 as my picks. But honestly, as long as I get like 2 of them correctly and I don't go 1-3, or hell, God forbid, even 1-4, I think it'll be a good week for me. So I'll take 2, but I'm hoping to get 4. Some of them were a little bit outlandish, like the Bears and the Rams, but you know, I had to pick an upset of the week, and that's just the funnest upset, honestly. And plus, I think that one could truly happen as well. So yeah, technically, I think the Texans are also another upset, but I think that one, it's more expected, you know. I think everybody believes that the Rams are going to take care of business against the Bears. I don't know if everybody expects the Patriots to take care of the Texans. You know, that Texans defense, man, it's just, they could win games by themselves, and they did that last week. If you listen to episode 4, I recapped that game. So all in all, it's going to be an awesome week of games. And like I said before, some, if not all of these games are must-watch games. So with all that being said, This is Justin Hamroun from Bring the Sink. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we're going to catch you next week for a recap of the divisional round, as well as a picks and previews of the AFC and NFC Championship later on in the week as well. Peace!